Her current focus is on developing Python bindings for Ginkgo, making advanced numerical solvers and sparse matrix vector multiplication kernels accessible in Python environments.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Keshvi, and today I'll be talking about PyGinkgo. PyGinkgo is a sparse linear algebra operator framework in Python. So before I talk about PyGinkgo, let's see what is sparse linear algebra and why do we need a separate Python module for it. So unlike dense and linear algebra, in sparse linear algebra, we mainly deal with sparse matrices. So matrices for which most of the elements are zero. The figure on the right has a very nice visualization of what a sparse matrix looks like. Here, most of the elements are aligned towards the diagonal and rest are just scattered randomly on the figure. At, at the extreme right, the most of the elements are aligned in blocked structure. So we deal with such matrices in applications such as fluid dynamics, data mining, and even sparse neural networks. Our conventional dense neural networks might look like this figure here, and after using optimization techniques such as pruning, we might end up with a graph which looks like this. Here, not each neuron is connected to each neuron in the next layer. So we end up with a sparse weight matrix, and hence we can call this model a sparse model. The benefit it offers over the conventional dense models is that, firstly, to store sparse matrices, we don't actually need to store all the zero elements, so we just have to store all the non-zeros. Therefore, it offers low memory overhead. And next, so in neural networks, the core operation is sparse matrix vector product. So if we multiply an element with zero, we can just skip the computation. Therefore, it offers high computational efficiency. But we can leverage these benefits only if these matrices are represented in a proper way. So these are the most widely used sparse representations. CO, CSR, BSR, and so on. This is an example of how a sparse matrix can be represented in a CSR format. Here we have a sparse matrix with some non-zeros and three arrays to represent data, row pointers, and column offsets to pinpoint exactly where the data is. So let's see what modules in Python currently offer some sort of sparse support. We have scikit-learn, TensorFlow, CuPy, and PyTorch when it comes to contemporary libraries. But before talking about these libraries, let's see what exactly are we looking for. So firstly, we want a high-performance SPMV or sparse matrix vector kernel because SPMV forms the basis of neural networks and many scientific computing workflows. Secondly, we want platform portability, so something which works on CPU as well as GPU, and maybe not just NVIDIA GPUs, but GPUs from other vendors as well. And lastly, we want support for various sparse matrix formats. Sadly, none of these libraries offer what we are looking for, so maybe low-level languages can help us. So these are very high-performance libraries: cuSparse, Cusp, Merge, Magma, CSR5, and Ginkgo. And all of these offer a very high-performance sparse matrix vector kernel. In this figure, on y-axis, we see performance in gigaflops, and on x-axis, we have number of non-zeros in a sparse matrix. And this is the performance of SPMV kernel. At first glance, all of these look just similar. There's no clear winner here, but we went ahead with Ginkgo. Ginkgo is a C++ library with a special focus on sparse linear systems. It was developed here at SCC at KIT by Dr. Hartwig Arndt's group. It supports computations on CPU as well as GPUs, and not just NVIDIA GPUs, but AMD and Intel GPUs as well. It offers a very rich set of solvers as well as preconditioners, and it offers various matrix formats. And it is designed in such a way that it's easier to extend functionality. So let's suppose if I want to implement code for another backend, another type of accelerator, I can do that easily without having to rewrite or change the code that is already written. So given that Ginkgo offers pretty much what we wanted, we thought it would be pretty cool to have Python version of Ginkgo called PyGinkgo. So PyGinkgo mainly consists of two parts. First is the C++ part, which has Ginkgo source code, and the second is the pure Python part. So Ginkgo's source code is accessible to us through PyBind 11. PyBind 11 is a tool which helps us make Python bindings for Ginkgo. And the pure Python part is written so that we can implement algorithms that are written purely in Python. It also helps us to have a more Pythonic API. So in C++, function overloading is mainly done through template parameters, but that is not directly applicable in Python. Therefore, we have this Pythonic API, which makes the makes the interface more simple. And lastly, we have buffer protocol. Buffer protocol is a standard in Python which helps you access the memory buffer of an object directly. So suppose if we are offloading our computations to the C++ backend, we can just send the memory buffer directly instead of copying the entire matrix. We can have millions of elements, so we don't have to spend time copying the elements. We can just use memory buffer for that. So I'll walk you through an example of how you can use PyGinkgo for your computations. In this example, we are just doing a sparse matrix vector multiplication. When you write a code using PyGinkgo, the first thing you do is initialize a device. Here we initialize a CUDA device, so all our computations will be on CUDA. Next, we initialize our matrix and tensors. We have a path for a matrix market file. Then we call pyginkgo.read function, and we load our matrix market file in a CSR format. And then we declare B and X tensors and fill those with ones and zeros respectively. At last, we call apply function to apply a sparse matrix vector product A with B, and the results get stored in X. So this is how simple it is to have a very fast SPMV kernel through Python. Now that we have seen how PyGinkgo works, let's see how it performs against all the contemporary libraries. We did our benchmarks on Horeca supercomputer here at KIT, on Intel Xeon Platinum CPUs and NVIDIA and AMD GPUs. We use matrices from Sweet Sparse Matrix Collection, and most of these matrices had density below 1%, except 5, which had a density greater than that. And we benchmarked SPMV kernel for this work. So on the plot on the left, you can see the speedups for GPU. Here, speedup is with reference to the baseline performance of SciPy on CPU. So this red line, the point that it touches on the right, just shows that for this particular matrix or for this particular point, PyGinkgo was around 100 times faster than SciPy on CPU. And for GPU, we observed that PyGinkgo was at least 2 times faster than PyTorch for most cases, 3 to 4 times faster than CuPy, and 6 to 10 times faster than TensorFlow. And on the figure on the right, for CPU, we observed that PyGinkgo scaled well with number of threads. So these different colors, the curves for different colors shows number of threads. We see the lowest speed up is for 1 thread as expected, and then it goes above and it scales well until 32 threads, and then it kind of saturates. Now let's see how PyGinkgo performs when it comes to overhead. This on the plot on the left, we see how PyGinkgo performs for CUDA and AMD GPUs. It looks similar to the plots that we saw earlier for low-level languages, but let's actually see what the overhead looks like. So we see percentage overhead on the plot on the right. Here, for low number of non-zeros, overhead is around 20 to 40%, and it decreases to below 10% and 0 for larger number of non-zeros. It is also sometimes below non-zero because of machine noise, but even when the overhead is 20 to 40%, the time overhead is only around 10 raised to power minus 7 or 10 raised to the power minus 5 seconds. So that is practically irrelevant when it comes to large scale applications. So for future, we plan to implement sparse convolution kernel so that PyGinkgo can be used for image processing applications as well. We are also working towards making the interface more Pythonic, and we think it would be nice to have energy measurements for different GPU vendors like NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel, especially AMD, and see if one offers any energy benefits over other. Thank you. I'll take questions now.
Thank you. Any questions to Keshvi?
I have a question. Nice work. I was just wondering, like, if I wanted to use this in a neural network, for example, does it also implement a backwards pass?
So not right now, but we are working towards it maybe in an year or so.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
One question, is it available already on pip or Conda?
So it will be open source until August-ish. Yeah.
All right, then no further questions. Let's thank you again.